How to make enemies fear you without a word. They will study you before they ever confront you, not loudly, not directly, but carefully, in silence. And what they find in your behavior will decide whether they test you or avoid you entirely. Most people never realize they are constantly revealing their level of control, and in doing so, they quietly teach others whether they can be challenged without consequence. The Stoics understood something the modern world often forgets. Power is not performed, it is contained. It is not found in loud reactions or visible force, but in restraint, perception, and the disciplined refusal to be moved unnecessarily. In a world obsessed with expression, the one who governs themselves becomes deeply unsettling, not because they threaten, but because they cannot be easily read, influenced, or provoked. The unwavering gaze, the marble gaze. There is a particular kind of gaze that unsettles people, not because it is aggressive, but because it reveals nothing. It does not flinch, it does not seek approval, it does not rush to soften itself for comfort. It simply observes. The Stoics would recognize this as mastery of perception. Most people look at others in a way that gives themselves away. Their eyes search for reactions, for validation, for subtle signs of acceptance. Their gaze moves too quickly, reacts too easily, adjusts itself depending on who stands before them. It is not steady, it is negotiable. But the marble gaze is different. It is still, composed, and deliberate. It does not follow every movement. It does not respond to every expression. It remains grounded, as if anchored in something internal rather than pulled by what is external. And this creates tension, not loud tension, but quiet uncertainty. Because when someone cannot read you, they cannot predict you. And when they cannot predict you, they hesitate. This is not about staring intensely or attempting to intimidate. That would be performance. The marble gaze is not forced. It is the natural result of someone who is not seeking anything from the moment, someone who is not trying to impress, defend, or prove. Ask yourself honestly, when you look at others, what are you looking for? Approval, agreement, signs of respect. These subtle searches leak through your eyes. They signal need, and need, even when hidden, is always felt. The Stoic removes that need, not by becoming cold, but by becoming self-contained, by understanding that what others think, feel, or project is not within their control. Their task is not to chase reactions, but to observe reality as it is, and so their gaze becomes calm, unhurried, almost indifferent, but not careless, aware without attachment. It is a quiet statement, I see you, but I am not moved by you, and that is where its power lies. The unpredictable smile. There is something more unsettling than anger. It is composure paired with unpredictability. Most people smile as a reflex, out of politeness, out of discomfort, out of a subtle desire to ease tension or gain approval. Their smiles are frequent, expected, and easily understood. But an unpredictable smile is different. It does not appear on command. It does not arrive to smooth over every moment. It comes selectively, almost sparingly, and because of that, it carries weight. The Stoics understood voluntary restraint, not just in actions, but in expression. When you smile constantly, especially in situations that do not warrant it, you begin to dilute your presence. You signal that you are eager to maintain comfort, even at the cost of authenticity. And slowly, without noticing, you teach others that your reactions are predictable. But unpredictability introduces caution. It does not mean being erratic or unstable. It means your expressions are aligned with your internal state, not with external pressure. You smile when it is genuine. You remain neutral when it is not. You do not perform warmth simply to be accepted. There is a quiet humor in this if you observe it closely. People become confused. They expect the usual responses, the polite laugh, the reassuring smile, and when it does not arrive, they begin to question themselves. Not dramatically, but subtly. Did I say something wrong? Did I misread the moment? Why didn't they react the way I expected? And in that moment of questioning, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer the one adjusting. They are. This is not manipulation. It is alignment. You are not withholding expression to create fear. You are simply refusing to offer it unnecessarily. You are no longer rewarding every interaction with emotional availability. You are choosing when and how you express yourself, based on clarity rather than habit. And over time, this creates a certain presence. Not loud, not exaggerated, but controlled. People begin to understand that your reactions are not easily earned, that your approval, your warmth, your openness, these are not automatic. They are given deliberately, and that deliberation commands attention. Silence as power. The modern world is uncomfortable with silence. It fills every gap with words, explanations, justifications. It believes that to remain silent is to lose control, to appear weak, to surrender the moment. So people speak quickly, often without thinking, driven by the need to fill the space. The Stoic does the opposite. They recognize silence not as absence, but as control. To remain silent in the face of provocation requires discipline. It requires the ability to sit with discomfort without rushing to escape it through speech. It requires the discipline of assent, the pause between what happens and what you choose to accept or reject internally. Most people fail here. They feel the urge to respond immediately, to correct, to defend, to explain. And in doing so, they reveal something important, that their internal state is easily disturbed. Silence removes that signal. It creates a space where others are left alone with their own words. Without your reaction to validate or challenge them, their statements begin to stand on their own, and often they weaken under that weight. There is a subtle discomfort in speaking into silence. You can observe it. The slight shift in tone, the added explanation, the attempt to fill the void. People begin to reveal more than they intended, simply because the silence invites it, and you, in that moment, remain composed. Not disengaged, but selective. You understand that not every statement deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every challenge requires participation. This is where over-explaining becomes a silent weakness. When you explain too much, you signal doubt. You suggest that your position requires validation. But when you speak less, clearly, precisely without excess, you communicate certainty. And certainty does not rush. It waits. It observes. It chooses its moments carefully. There is a quiet authority in someone who can sit in silence without discomfort, who does not feel the need to prove themselves through constant expression, who understands that words, when used sparingly, carry more weight. Because silence, when chosen deliberately, is not emptiness. It is presence without exposure. Strategic absence. There is a form of presence that exists even when you are not there. And there is a form of absence that speaks louder than any words you could have used. Most people make themselves too available. They respond immediately. They show up consistently, regardless of how they're treated. They remain in spaces where they are not respected, hoping that their persistence will eventually change the dynamic. But what it often teaches instead is this: that your presence is guaranteed. And what is guaranteed is rarely valued. The Stoics understood the limits of control. You cannot force others to recognize your worth. You cannot explain someone into respecting you. but you can control where you place yourself and where you withdraw. Strategic absence is not avoidance. It is decision. It is the recognition that your time, your attention, your energy, these are not infinite resources, and where they are not respected, they are to be removed, quietly, without announcement, without drama, without the need to be understood. This is where many struggle. They feel the urge to explain their withdrawal, to justify their absence, to ensure the other person understands why they are stepping away. But this returns you to the same pattern, seeking validation for a decision that is already yours to make. The Stoic does not do this. They act from clarity, not from the need to be acknowledged. And here is where the effect becomes undeniable. When you are no longer present, when your energy is no longer available, when your attention is no longer given freely, people notice. Not always immediately, but eventually. Because absence reveals what presence concealed. It forces others to confront the dynamic without your participation, to experience the space you once filled, to recognize, perhaps too late, the value that was quietly there. And whether they understand it or not, no longer matters, because your decision was not made to teach them. It was made to preserve yourself. Physical presence. Before you speak, before you react, before you even engage, your presence has already said something. The Stoics did not obsess over appearance, but they understood embodiment. The way you carry yourself reflects the state of your mind. It reveals whether you are scattered or centered, reactive or composed, uncertain or grounded. Most people move without awareness. Their posture collapses. Their movements are rushed or hesitant. Their energy shifts depending on who is around them. They shrink in certain spaces and overcompensate in others. It is inconsistency made visible. But physical presence, when aligned with inner discipline, becomes something else entirely. It becomes steady. You move without hurry, but without hesitation. Your posture is not forced, but natural, upright, balanced, relaxed. You do not fidget unnecessarily. You do not seek to occupy less space than you deserve, nor do you attempt to dominate more than is needed. There is a calm precision in your movements, and it reflects something deeper. It reflects that you are not at war with the moment, that you are not trying to escape it, impress it, or control it beyond what is yours to control. You are simply in it, fully, deliberately. This kind of presence does not demand attention, it attracts it. Because in a world of constant motion, stillness becomes noticeable. In a world of noise, quiet confidence becomes rare. In a world of reaction, composure becomes powerful, and people feel this before they understand it. They sense that there is a boundary, not physical, but internal, that there is a level of control that is not easily disrupted, that you are not easily pulled into chaos, not easily influenced, not easily read. And that uncertainty creates distance, not the kind that isolates, but the kind that protects. In the end, none of this is about making others fear you in a loud or obvious way. It is about becoming someone who cannot be easily unsettled, someone who governs their perception, their reactions, their presence, someone who understands that what is within their control is enough, and what is not does not deserve their disturbance. Because the Stoic does not seek to dominate others, they seek to master themselves, and in doing so, they become something quietly powerful, not because they demand respect, not because they announce their strength, but because their discipline makes it unmistakable, and that is what unsettles the world the most.